Okay, so the first question is, as I said, what's the point of having this kind of forum every year in Africa? What does it mean to you, and what the interest of having these like 3 days meetings?
Okay. Well, the Agribusiness Forum provides a great opportunity for businesses, governments, and foundations like ours to network. And there is very few opportunities to have stakeholders from across the continent actually assemble in one place. It's far more efficient to meet people here and to get deals done.
And do you feel that there is a renewed interest for Africa? It's quite obvious, but can you explain about how do you feel about that? How do you see it?
Well, I think agriculture, given the share of GDP for most African countries and given the high growth rate, increasing agricultural productivity in Africa holds the greatest opportunity for improving the incomes of the greatest number of people within sub-Saharan Africa. That's why we want to focus on agriculture.
And when we talk about agribusiness, what does that mean, and why agribusiness model or strategies are the one needed to change things?
So agribusiness denotes private sector investment, and I think we all know that private sector investment is the core driver of economic growth and development. So the more that we can foster the private sector and the growth of agribusiness, the better the smallholder farmers and the rest of the stakeholders within that supply chain can benefit.
And how do you feel, what has to be done to make sure that this is inclusive? Because that's the big challenge, I suppose.
It sure is. So, I think there are fewer and fewer people that believe that agriculture, supply chain, and business growth is a zero-sum game. Increasing productivity, increasing economic growth is a benefit that can be shared by all. The more that businesses downstream can serve a growing consumer demand for products, both domestically and abroad, the more that smallholders have a market. And the more we can increase smallholder productivity to meet that market, also the better the input suppliers are able to perform to serve that smallholder need. So everybody in that supply chain, and most especially the smallholder farmers, can benefit from a growing market for agricultural commodities.
And what support do you feel they need to the small-scale farmers in terms of productivity, which is again the big challenge? So what has to be done?
It is the greatest challenge, and farmers need good access to seed, fertilizer, agrochemicals. They need access to the latest technologies and to knowledge on how to best manage their farm. Also, how to manage their farm as a business. Farmers need to manage a balance sheet, income, and cash flow like any other business. And the need for smallholders right now typically is to access finance, as most small businesses, because without accessing finance, it's hard for them to make the proper investments in their farm. And we feel that the more integrated we can get these supply chains and the more support the input suppliers and the off-takers can provide to those smallholders in terms of credit and good inputs, the better everyone will perform.
Maybe the last question, what will be the main recommendation that you can provide, maybe not GRC government, but African, let's say the sub-region governments, to make this happen?
So I always remember the saying that the Minister of Agriculture in Nigeria, Minister Akin Adesina, mentioned was that agricultural growth should be private sector driven and government enabled. So the best thing that governments can do for the agricultural sector is to create an enabling environment for agribusiness to thrive. And agribusiness includes smallholder farmers as a business. And that enabling environment includes making the right investments in infrastructure, such as power and roads, but it also includes creating a very stable and conducive policy environment for businesses to grow, and to create a consultative process with farmers and with private sector players in policy-making decisions and development so that those policies are informed by how they'll impact every stakeholder in that supply chain.
Sorry, one last one. Then, I feel sometimes that there might be like two models sometimes and two worlds, like looking at each other, like people from agribusiness talking productivity and private investment and relationship with small-scale farmers. And then you have maybe NGOs and those kind of organizations, and they're talking about ecological kind of models, and I feel sometimes there is like this contradiction between the two.
Yeah.
What would you respond to those maybe NGOs like believing that agrobusiness is risky or something like that?
Yeah. Well, again, it's the mindset of growing the pie for everybody. I think the NGOs do a fantastic job at bringing the attention to the risks of the type of work that agribusiness does. I mean, not that it's ill-intentioned, but sometimes there's just a lack of awareness as to the consequences of certain types of investments. So again, creating a consultative process between governments, NGOs, farmers, and private agribusiness can be a very helpful thing so that each party can educate the other. And in terms of growing the pie and it not being a zero-sum game, the agribusinesses are also starting to realize that taking care of the environment, increasing smallholder productivity, investing in their supply chain is actually good for business. It creates higher productivity, which then creates more volume of a higher quality commodity for their business, increases capacity utilization, it lowers default rates. Stronger suppliers who are food secure and have thriving, profitable, small farming businesses are going to be far more reliable suppliers over the long term. So it's a matter of just each party really understanding that they're all in it together, and a supply chain is only as strong as the weakest link.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.